Did you know if you or a friend is overdosing on illegal substances, you will not get in trouble if you call 911? Hello, and here's some facts that can save your life. If you have an asthma attack, then drink something with caffeine in it. The caffeine will pry open your lungs and help you breathe better. When you're in a cold place and you suddenly feel hot, don't take off any clothing because it means you have hypothermia. You can use your jeans as a life jacket in water by tying the legs and filling them with air. Always keep a card in your wallet or purse with your blood type and allergies in case of an emergency. If your pupil shows up white in photos, you need to go see a doctor as it means something is wrong with your eye. If the ocean starts retreating, then it means a tsunami is coming soon, so get away. If a natural disaster is coming, make sure to fill up your bathtub and sink so you have fresh water. Laying flat on your back is the best way to survive in a falling elevator. If a tornado looks like it's not moving, that means it's heading towards you. If you ever see square waves in the water, get out immediately. These waves have powerful currents under the water that can sweep you out and take you away. If someone falls into cold water and is close to hypothermia, don't put them next to a fire. They need to be warmed up slowly. Otherwise, it could be potentially fatal and they could experience something called afterdrop. And this is due to the fact that your blood flow cannot adapt quick enough to that change from extreme cold to extreme hot. If you ever get caught in a rip current, swim sideways. A rip current is a strong flow of water that moves directly away from the shore. And if you get caught in one and you try to swim straight in, it's just going to keep pushing you back and you're going to lose energy. So you need to swim sideways until you're out of it. And then you can swim in afterwards. If you're ever at the beach and you see the water running or far away from where it normally is, this normally means a tsunami is coming. If your car ever goes into water, open a window or door immediately. If you don't do this, the pressure difference is too great and it'll keep everything shut. And you'll have to wait until your car is completely filled with water in order to get out. If you ever find yourself buried in rubble and can't get out, don't yell. You'll end up just wasting energy and losing your voice. What you should do is grab something and start tapping in intervals of 3. Humans are great at noticing patterns and the rescuers will start to move towards that. And once you hear them, then you can start yelling. If you're ever walking back to your car and you see something like a dollar bill or something on it, don't touch it. This is a common method for kidnapping, while where you're going to grab that, they'll come up and grab you. So do not grab it, just drive away. You can actually use ice to start a fire. You start off by finding the clearest ice you can find. Carve out a chunk and smooth the top of it. Then try and create a lens with your hand. Now you can use this lens to magnify light to make a fire. You can also use a gum wrapper and a battery to start a fire. All you have to do is cut a thin strip of foil and touch it to each end of the battery. Then fire should create from the center. You can use the top of a can, aka the can tab, to create a fishing hook by removing a little piece out of it. You can use your pants as a life preserver. You tie the legs of your jeans in a knot, then place your hands on the side next to the buttons and zippers, then pull them above your head, force them down into the water, and that will create an air bubble in your jeans. If you're ever stuck in the jaws of an alligator, it may try to perform something called the death roll, and this is where they rapidly do a barrel roll to try and rip off pieces of you to eat. And if it does end up doing this movement, then you want to roll with it, otherwise you're going to be ripped apart. Your body should never slide into the pins at the bowling alley, as the machines that set up the pins are extremely powerful. They could easily crush you to death if you get stuck under them. You should never stand under or even next to a tree during a thunderstorm, as lightning tends to strike taller objects like trees. So if lightning hits a tree, there's a good chance the charge will spread out in all directions around the tree. Now, if you're ever in a foreign country and you need help but don't know what the emergency number is, then call 112. This is the international emergency number, so it'll connect you to the nearest helpline automatically. Never use bleach to clean cat urine, because when it's mixed with chlorine bleach, it will create a toxic gas that is harmful to humans. It's even deadly in large amounts, so be careful. If your car ever gets stuck on the train tracks, always look for this blue sign. The sign will have a phone number on it that you'll need to call. This will let them know you're stuck on the tracks, and will alert all oncoming trains to stop immediately immediately. We all hate the red eyes that show up in pictures, but if your pupils ever reflect white, then you need to get your eyes checked out. This can be caused by cataracts, retina problems, or even eye cancer in the worst cases. When you go to sleep, you should keep your car keys near your bed. This way, if you hear someone trying to break into your house, you can just set off your car alarm, which will probably scare them away. If someone gets stabbed, do not take out the knife. It acts as a plug to the hole and prevents severe blood loss. Instead, apply pressure to the wound and call 911 immediately. If your hair suddenly stands up on the ends, duck and cover. You're about to be struck by some lightning. If someone ever tries to grab you, scratch them, as their DNA will then be in your fingernails so the police can find their identity. Do not drink the milk from brown coconuts. They contain oils that cause dehydration. Instead, drink the milk from the green coconuts. If you're in another country and need to call for help, then call 112. It's the international emergency number and will immediately transfer you to the nearest helpline. The more colorful and vivid the animal is, the more likely it's poisonous, so don't eat those kind of animals in the wild. A Crayola crayon can be used as a candle and will burn for up to 30 minutes. If you're ever somewhere and you don't have the right size battery, you can use a smaller battery and put aluminum foil in that extra space and it'll still work, because the aluminum foil will transfer the electricity and get the job done. A lot of backpacks have a hidden built-in whistle on them. Now, before any natural disasters, make sure you fill up your bathtub and your sinks with water that is clean or fresh, because during or after major disasters, water often gets either cut off or heavily contaminated, and having a supply of clean water is important for survival. If you ever get lost or you're just in an emergency situation and you have your phone but you have no signal, then you should still call 911 or emergency services, because emergency calls will go through any connection, whether it's your carrier or not, and you don't have to pay because it's free to make a call to 911. Make sure to keep your doors closed when you're sleeping. If there's a fire when you're sleeping, there's a huge difference between leaving your door open versus keeping it closed. If you're ever scuba diving and feel like you have to vomit, don't take the regulator out of your mouth. Just vomit straight into it, because the natural reaction is to inhale after you vomit, and if you were to do that, you would inhale a ton of water. If a service dog ever comes up to you without its owner, make sure that you follow it, as they could be bringing you to their owner who could potentially be in danger or need serious help. If you ever need to break a car's window, don't hit in the center. Make sure you aim for the bottom edges instead, because car doors are normally made out of tempered glass, which means they're a lot more fragile along the edges, therefore making it easier to break. If you have no band-aids and you need to prevent a small cut from getting dirt inside of it, you can always use super glue to help. Don't use super glue on bigger cuts though, seek professional help instead. If a tornado looks like it isn't moving, then it's heading right towards you. If you are ever buried in rubble, then don't shout as you'll lose your voice. Instead, wait until you hear people and then use your voice. If you smell a fish-like smell in your house for no reason, 9 times out of 10 it means there's an electrical fire. If you get kidnapped, try to leave as many traces of yourself behind as you can. This way you increase your chances that a search dog could pick up your scent and find you. When having a heart attack, you don't swallow an aspirin, you chew it. If someone grabs you by the arm, don't pull away. Twist your arm instead. Your arm goes nearly in all directions, but the wrists won't. In an emergency situation, you can use a crayon as a candle and it will burn up to 14 minutes. If you ever wake up to the smell of gas, then don't use anything electrical and get out of the house. Any electrical spark could blow up your house. If a stranger gets in your car and forces you to take them somewhere you don't want to, drive into a lamppost or anything solid. You won't be useful to them anymore because the car is damaged. This way you'll damage your car, but you'll have your life in your bank account. If you ever find yourself stuck in quicksand, contrary to popular belief, you won't get swallowed whole. It usually stops around your waist, so all you have to do is lie down and almost backstroke like you're swimming and trying to disperse your weight to get out. If you ever find yourself buried under snow, you can make a little air pocket by your face, spit, and see which way gravity takes your spit, and start digging the opposite direction to get to the surface. If you ever find yourself in an elevator in an emergency, press the little star symbol next to the buttons. It will take you to the floor with the quickest emergency exit outside. If you ever get impaled or stabbed by an object, don't take it out. Whatever is in there could be stopping the blood flow from coming out, so it's best to keep it in there because removing it could also cause more internal damage.